Financial reporting for the CFO. As the CFO, you need ways to make better business decisions. That's why you need to understand your sales forecast, because having predictable revenue is one of the ways you can make these sound business decisions. You can easily do this in Microsoft Dynamics GP by looking at sales orders and future requested dates, and then leverage the power of Microsoft Excel to build the sales forecast. Let me show you some of the ways this can be done. So in Microsoft Dynamics GP, we can pull up a sales transactions smart list. This smart list has been restricted to sales orders. We've added columns that are useful for us in our sales forecasting, like the document amount and the requested ship days. We can then export this to Excel, where we can present the data into a more digestible format for CFOs and other decision makers in the company. Then we can put the data into a pivot table. We're going to grab customer name and the document amounts. Format this so it's easier to understand what these numbers are. Okay, so here we have all the expected sales currently in the system. We probably want to be able to make this a little bit more date sensitive. It's more useful that way. So we're going to insert a timeline. And we're going to insert a timeline based on the requested ship dates. Now, someone might come up to you as a CFO and ask you what kind of revenue we might be expecting for April in 2027. So you can go ahead and just click on April here. Now, what makes this really great is that you can slide the timeline so that it encompasses more than one period. So if somebody said, what about the second quarter of 2027? All you need to do is use the slider to cover April, May, and June. As the CFO or as any senior executive responsible for the financial actions of your company, it's likely you don't want to tie up a GP user license when forecasting sales. The good news is you can skip logging into GP and exporting to Excel and just open a pre-built Excel worksheet that you can use and reuse every time you need to report. So let me just close out of there and open my pre-built Excel worksheet. So this is the pre-built Excel worksheet. The pivot table here is in every way the same as the pivot table from the exported smart list. The difference is that we used Power Query in Excel to pull the data without having to launch GP. Power Query is a data connection technology that enables you to connect to different data sources, including GP, and refine it to meet your reporting needs. So let's take a look at that. So if we click on Show Queries, which we have, you'll see the queries that were applied to this data source or to this data. Double clicking it, right, we'll open the Power Query editor. So we use Query to connect to the sales transactions in GP and refined it by showing only the undelivered sales orders, the customer names, and the requested ship dates. Okay. Now the cool thing about the Power Query editor is that it can show you the applied steps you've taken to get to the refined data that you see here in the table. So by clicking on the previously applied steps, you can go back to see what the data looked like before you applied, say, date formats, right? or maybe you want to go back and see what it looked like before you filtered the report on just the sales orders, and so on. Then when you click on Close and Load, you'll see the data in the table, which is where the pivot table is working off of. And that was sales forecasting using Excel. By using Power Query, you can report on future revenue without having to launch GP to help you and your company make sound business decisions. For more information on all things Microsoft Dynamics GP, please visit us at www.profit.ca.